Good morning everybody, welcome to my channel. It's Marie. Today I'll be starting off a brand new reading vlog. Before I get started, if you're new to this channel, hi, hello, I'm Stephanie and I do a lot of bookish content, and this weekend is Mother's Day weekend, which is why I thought it would be a perfect time for me to just get to reading since I do now have a lot of time on my hand. Quick life update. Unfortunately, a couple days ago I was let go from my company, but I was not super surprised because I was only there for about 6 months and they had 3 rounds of layoffs, including mine. So after the second round I was already starting to look for another job. I just couldn't really spend too much time on it because I was actually still working at the time. And yeah, so now I am just looking for a full-time job again, which is kind of disappointing but not super unexpected because I just think that company is handling their finances really weird for them to have so many rounds of layoffs, considering they keep saying they're in a really good financial state. But then why are you doing so many layoffs in such a short amount? Like, I was only there for like 6 months, not even. So yeah, so anyways, now I'm just looking for unemployed, kind of. Hopefully I find another job soon. Let's just not delve into it too much, otherwise I'll just have like a mental breakdown of finding a job, because the job market right now is just not the greatest. But thankfully, because I have been looking previously, I already had a couple interviews prior to me being laid off, and I've continued on the second rounds of other interviews since then. So I'm still getting interviews. I've put myself out there, so things are going. It's only been a couple days, so it's not too bad. And thankfully the severance package was pretty decent, all things considering, compared to my last job where they did also layoffs for multiple people again, and that severance was like, I thought it was okay too, but this one's better. So anyways, point is though, let's get to reading this weekend and not think too much about it. But I do have a lot of good things planned for this weekend. I'm about to head out to the grocery store with my boyfriend to grab some stuff because I want to make these like beef enoki rolls. I keep seeing on TikTok, like literally everywhere I see is like this dish, and it looks so easy to make. So I have all the ingredients. I just have to buy some like other ingredients. So I have most of the ingredients. And then tomorrow is actual Mother's Day, and I'm going to be doing dinner with my parents, things like that, just to celebrate. So I do have a couple things planned for the weekend. I might go to the beach later today because my sister's in town and I think that's what they're doing, but I'm just like, I don't know if I'm in the beach mood per se, so I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to go. But anyways, let's talk about the books that I plan to read for this weekend. So the first book I'm reading right now is Marvelous by Molly Greeley. This is a Beauty and the Beast historical fantasy retelling, essentially. It kind of goes into like the original story's background and like the origin of Beauty and the Beast. I don't really know how to describe it. I haven't gone really far into it. I'm on page 8, so clearly not much progress has been made. I just started like yesterday, but I just didn't really have a lot of time to read because I've just been like, right now all my days have just been like, I wake up in the morning, I like job hunt throughout the day. I might have an interview or two, and then by the time it's like late afternoon, I'm like exhausted, like mentally checked out, that I just want to like sit and like watch things. So I haven't been able to really read. But this weekend, because no one's really posting things online anyways, I might as well just utilize the time to really just read. So I'm going to read Marvelous. That's the first book, and then after that I'm going to pick up Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. This is basically a I want to say it's like a sci-fi fantasy book. I don't know why I think it's sci-fi, but it gives me like sci-fi vibes. It's about this woman, her name is Jessamine Teo, who starts hearing a voice in her head, but she chalks it up to stress. She's also closeted, broke, and jobless, so the last part is relatable. And she's moving back to Malaysia with her parents, and she realizes that this new voice inside her isn't even hers. It's actually the ghost of her estranged grandmother. And in life, her grandmother was actually a spirit medium who was the avatar of a mysterious deity called the Blackwater Sister. And now she's determined to settle a score against a business magnate who has offended the god, and she decided Jess is going to help her do it whether she wants to or not. So now it's like a world of gods, ghosts, and family secrets, and she finds that making deals with capricious spirits is a dangerous business. So it sounds interesting. I really haven't heard too much about it. We'll see how this goes. Also, it does have a quote here from one of my favorite authors, Naomi Novik, only because she wrote Spinning Silver. I read her other books and they're very not great. That I'm just like, was that like a one-time hit wonder? Like, I don't really know. Like, I even read Uprooted and it was just like mediocre. Like, it was better than her Deadly Education series. Like, I read the first book, it was total so I picked up Uprooted thinking it would be very similar to Spinning Silver because people really like Uprooted more than Spinning Silver, but personally I disagree. I think Spinning Silver is just amazing. Also, it's Asian month right now, so I feel like I do need to read a book representing that for sure. since this book is actually for my book club and we're meeting next weekend, so I do need to get to reading this one ASAP and hopefully get to finish it because quick update time. I want to speak in a whisper because my boyfriend's actually napping on the couch and I don't want to be super loud to wake him up, so hopefully in this clip you can hear it. But I did continue reading a little bit of Marvelous. I'm on page like 25 now. I am DNFing this book. It is so boring. Like, something about the writing style is just not sitting with me at all. I just feel like everything about it is just like super dry, just not interesting, and I'm just not engaged with the story. And it sounded really freaking promising because it's literally supposed to be about like the historical portion of Beauty and the Beast and like a retelling of it, and I don't know, it's just not interesting. On the other hand, I've now picked up Blackwater Sister. I just started on page 4, so hopefully I can get into reading. All I've gotten so far is just hearing a voice in her head saying, "Oh my god, does your mom know you're a pink kid?" And she's like, "What the fuck is that?" And then she asks her mom, and it turns out it's like a slang word, like a Malay slang for a lesbian. That's all I've gotten so far. But it's like the writing is infinitely better already compared to Marvelous. Like, I'm pretty like more interested in what's going on compared to that book, so at least that's a plus. Alright, here's a quick little update on my reading. I feel like I need justice. Hold on. Okay. So I've been reading Blackwater Sister and I'm on page 125, so I've made some chunk to it. I wouldn't say it's like super interesting, but it's engaging enough for me to continue reading. Essentially, like I said already, it follows a woman called Jess, where she just graduated from college, been a couple months, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life, and she decides to go back to Malaysia to live with her parents in the meantime while she kind of like sorts her life out. Then suddenly she starts getting these like voices in her head, specifically just one voice, and at first she's like, what the fuck is happening? Turns out it's actually her grandmother who passed away the year before. And it also turns out that her grandmother used to be a medium for a goddess, and since then she has like things like unfinished business on earth, and somehow she reached out to her granddaughter to be her medium, and Jess is just like super anti against this. She's like, what is happening here? I don't want to be your medium. Like, I'm just trying to figure my life out. I don't need this, all this other stuff. But then as the story progresses, she realizes that this goddess might actually not be the greatest thing, and it also feels like the grandmother is not really for the goddess either, even though she used to be the medium for the goddess. But there's a lot of things that the goddess is doing, like harming people, and so Jess is like, you know what, I want to help these people. I don't necessarily care about the goddess herself, but if she's actually hurting people, I want to do something about it. And so that's kind of where the story's at. I would say the hardest part about this book is like the language, and I think it's just because I'm not used to like Malaysian English, but they use a lot of words like what at the end, so they'll say something and then add a what at the end, and for me, like, I feel like I'm just not used to it, so I'm just like, a lot of times I need to reread the sentences because I'm like, wait, what is she talking about? Like, they're using lots of like, they put a lot of words into sentences that really shouldn't be there, but it's like a slang. And I know that Singaporeans do this too, where they're like, oh my something whatever, and then they use a lot at the end, and I don't know why they do that. It's just like a purely cultural thing, so it's like throwing me off with the whole what. And it's kind of like, instead of Singapore using law, they use what, and I don't know why, but it's just throwing me off. So that's like the hardest part for me to get through. Not to mention, like, they use Hokkien a lot, which is a different language. It's still like a Chinese dialect, and I want to say it's like Taiwanese, because, or like what Taiwanese is very similar to. It's either Hokkien or Hakka. I don't remember exactly because my family's Taiwanese, and so like when I was in Taiwan, they used to speak like Taiwanese, but then like all the public transportations will have like Hokkien and Hakka in there as well, and they sound really similar to Taiwanese. So I don't know if it's like I don't know, it's just really similar to me, to like the language I know. And so for example, like when she calls her grandmother ama, like that's also Taiwanese for grandmother. That's not the Chinese word for grandmother. And I don't know if that's like Hokkien in this case, in which case it's super similar to Taiwanese. So it's interesting to kind of see like some similarities there with the languages, but then on the flip side I'm like struggling with the English part because of the slang and like the word that shouldn't be there, but for some reason it is there because it's how like Malaysians talk to each other. So it's just like an interesting dichotomy, I suppose. But anyways, I am going to continue reading with it. It's not like the most engaging book ever, but I'm intrigued enough to continue. Oh, and then I forgot to mention earlier, so I am listening to an audiobook right now called Soulmates. It's over here. I am about 70% of the way through. I'm actually listening to it a lot because when I play games and stuff, I just listen to it on the side, and I'm really enjoying that book. I started around like 20% of the way through when this weekend started, but I forgot to mention it. It's basically about this teenager where she is Korean American, and she's basically like worked really hard to shed off her Korean side to fit in with the Americans. But because of the rise of like K-pop, K-dramas and things like that, it seems like the Americans, like the white people, are more interested in Korean culture now, that she actually doesn't really know what's happening. She doesn't understand the biases, she doesn't understand BTS, she doesn't understand the K-dramas. Like she has like no like shared interests really, because she's worked so hard to shed that part of herself off. And she was dating this guy who finally told her, they broke up, and he was just like, it's because we don't have any interests, and he's super into K-pop and K-dramas and things like that. On the other side, there is a childhood friend that she used to be really close with, but then he moved to Korea, became extremely famous. Like he's a rising star right now as a K-drama actor, and it turns out that people at home know who he is, but she has no idea who he is. And they had a falling out a couple years ago because she was like, you basically betrayed everything. I thought we were best friends, but then you told me that you hated San Diego, you hated everything about San Diego, which kind of meant that he hated her too. So she felt very hurt and basically just cut him off. And since then they just haven't had any interaction whatsoever. But because of circumstances, he's now visiting San Diego, and the two of them now have the chance to kind of rekindle their friendship / potential romance and things like that. It's super cute. I'm really enjoying it. I actually feel like much more interested in that book than this book over here, but that's just because like I'm all about the cute vibes, and that is perfect for it. Versus this one just seems a lot more serious, and I don't know why, but I thought this book was like sci-fi too, but it's not. It's purely like mystical fantasy kind of book, and it's good, but it's just not what I'm like super in the mood for. But because I still know that it's good, like I still want to continue reading it. But anyways, I need to get ready for heading out soon. I was supposed to be with my sister after they went to get the pedicure, but like I was supposed to be with them now, but they haven't even left yet. And I called my sister, and my other sister hasn't even woken up yet. So I'm just like, are we still meeting up? Like what is happening here? I don't know. But I think I'm just gonna head out and go over to their area, because I do have a couple errands I want to run in the morning first. But anyways, hopefully I get to reading soon. I'm actually going to make this video into like a week-long readathon vlog, because honestly this weekend nothing really happened and I really didn't read a lot, so I felt silly making a whole video about that. So I'm going to extend it and talk about what I've currently read. So I'm still on this book right now. I'm on page 166. I'm about halfway through. It's good. It's not like amazingly like action-packed or whatever it is, but it's engaging enough for me to continue reading, and I'm very curious to see how the book will play out. I feel like right now I'm just very confused with the whole like goddess aspect to it, because what exactly does she want? I feel like what her grandmother told her initially and what just happened right now, it seems to be at odds with each other. So I'm just curious to see like what is truly happening and kind of dig a little deeper into that. So I'm definitely curious to continue reading. On another hand, I did pick up another audiobook because, you know, I listen to audiobooks a lot and very quickly. So now I'm listening to Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. This book is basically about a woman who is a screenwriter or something like that. I think she writes things for like comedians, and she works for a company where they go in the office at like 5 p.m, which is insane, order dinner at like 9 or 10 p.m. They kind of like nap for a second and then continue writing until like the wee hours, and then they go home, shower, kind of like rest for a little bit, and then come back in the afternoon for another like script reading or whatever, like 3 p.m. and then that's just kind of how they go on their day. It's like wild. I cannot imagine things like that. And basically about her, and she's never really experienced like a relationship or like love. She's been having just lots of like one night stands or like short-term hookups, things like that. And there is a fellow coworker who is now engaged to a very like famous and gorgeous actress, and she's just like, that's weird because he's very not that attractive and she's stunning. So she's like, how did this happen? And she's trying to get into the whole like situation and like figure things out. I feel like right now there's no exact problem, you know what I mean? Like I feel like generally books are just like, there's a problem that they need to fix, and then the main character will like go along this path of fixing this problem, etc., and then, you know, happily ever after or whatever it is. And that it goes for all like genres. It doesn't have to be like fantasy or whatever. Like romance too, it's like they have an issue and they have to fix it. I feel like in this book the issue is really just her trying to figure out like, how did this mediocre looking dude end up with this really hot actress? And I'm like, is that really an issue though? I feel like right now the issue is more like an internal issue of you projecting. So it feels like right now I'm just reading a book about like a day in the life of the screenwriter, and I don't know, it's entertaining though for sure, but I just don't really see like what's the point of this book, like what is actually happening besides this day in a life type of book. So but yeah, I'm about 11% of the way through, so definitely didn't make a ton of progress, but I did manage to finish reading Soulmates. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but that book was super cute. I really liked how the book ended. I definitely give that book like 4 stars. It was just a really cute, fun type of book. And yeah, I'm going to continue listening to romantic comedy while I tackle this book right now. But it is Monday, like around afternoon, it's like 3 p.m. right now. I've been crazy busy this morning. I had 2 interviews, so at least there's that. I mean, the good thing about this whole like job hunting, I feel like even though I heard it's like really hard and stuff, at least I'm getting interviews, so at least that's something. And then I just have to like nail interviews and just continue, and you know, hopefully I land an offer and things like that. But yeah, so I just been applying to jobs and getting interviews. I had 2 today, I have 1 tomorrow, and then hopefully I like hear back from ones I had from last week. So I don't know. I think it's time for an update because it is now Wednesday evening, and I don't think I've updated you guys since this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So I have a lot to update you guys. To be honest, the days are going by in a blur because my days right now are just completely booked with job hunting stuff, and then having some interviews maybe like once a day or something like that, and then more job hunting, and then just having a mental breakdown about the whole like job loss. I feel like this is my 2nd time being laid off, and the experience is very different. Like last time it happened, I felt like very traumatic. I was just like, I can't believe this happened. This time I feel like very bitter about the situation, mainly because of just stuff about the company, and I don't know, like it's just weird. A lot of people are saying that they basically laid me off because they wanted to hire someone who is a lot cheaper than what they were paying me, and I kind of agree with that, but it's just like, that's why I'm like so bitter. But this is all like speculation, like I don't really know. But anyways, the good things is I'm still getting interviews, and I pretty much am averaging like 1 interview a day, which is really good considering I was just laid off like literally a week ago to the day. And so 1 interview per day after getting laid off is pretty freaking good. I think so, at least. So anyways, that's my life update. I have an interview tomorrow, which is 2nd round, so I'm pretty excited about that, and we'll see. I just feel like I'm tired of job hunting. The one thing I can say is that I'm grateful that I was job hunting before I was laid off. Like I started job hunting maybe like after the 2nd round of layoff, and then yeah, I took like a week or 2 off from like job hunting, but like I had my resume updated, I was, you know, applying to certain things, stuff like that, so I wasn't completely stagnant and not doing anything. So I feel like that really helped, which is probably why I'm still like, I'm getting interviews even like the right after I got laid off. So anyways, that's my life update. Moving on to my reading update. I am still reading Blackwater Sister. I am on page 258, so some progress has been made. I definitely want to get this done. Like, my goal is to finish this book this week ideally, but it's just like, it's interesting, but it's not like a really fast-paced book, which is probably why I'm not like, oh my god, gung-ho about finishing it. It's just not like a page turner. It's just more of like a, you know, slower read. It's not a slow burn, nor is it a dense book. I just feel like there's a lot of cultural and religious references in here that I'm not used to. I'm not used to a book being super religious, and I feel like because of that topic, I'm just reading this book at a much slower pace to kind of like digest everything. So that's that for that book. And then in terms of my audiobook, I did manage to finish listening to romantic comedy. I don't remember if I had mentioned starting it a couple days ago, but I finished it earlier today and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so I do feel like the overarching like situation about the book is just this woman who's trying to prove that it's not just men who gets these, you know, like these average schmoes getting these like super hot, rich, successful ladies, but it can also be the other way around. And that's like what the whole book's about. I enjoyed it. I do feel like the romance, I don't know, like I felt like it was just more of a work in progress. I don't really know how to describe it. Like, it wasn't like I was swooning about the romance. I didn't particularly love either characters. It was just more like there were certain parts of it that I really enjoyed, like certain aspects of the relationship that I enjoyed, but then other parts that I was like, I feel like, you know, it's just okay. What's most unique about this book though is that it does take place during COVID. So like it takes place a couple years prior, and then the last like half of the book or so, it takes place during COVID. It's like the height of COVID, and that's kind of when they rekindle. And I thought it was just so fascinating to read about a book that literally is about COVID, because I don't think I've read anything so far that actually talks about COVID. And I can't decide if it's too soon to talk about COVID, considering COVID is still a thing. It's just not as discussed anymore because people are kind of over it and it's just not making news anymore. But that's not to say that, you know, cases are not happening and there's new strands, stuff like that. COVID is still very much prevalent, which is why I'm like, is it too soon? I don't know. But I just thought that's super unique. Then I started listening to Daisy Darker, and I'm 37% of the way through. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's definitely a slow build. Like the first hour or so, I was kind of like, I don't know what's happening, but then I was cooking and I was listening to it and I just got like really invested in the story. It's basically this woman, her name is Daisy, and she went to visit her grandmother at this like secluded house with her entire family to celebrate her grandmother's birthday. I want to say it's like her 90th birthday or like 80th, some one of those milestone birthdays. And shortly after arriving there, they have dinner, and then the grandmother actually reads the will. She's like, you know, I met a psychic who tells me that this is my last birthday, so I might as well update my will, and I figured I'll just read it to you guys while I'm still alive. She reads the will and no one's very happy about it because of, you know, things just not going certain people's way. And then they go to bed, but they're like, you know what, like, let's figure this out later. Go to bed, they wake up in the middle of the night and find out that the grandmother is dead, and it looks like someone bashed her skull in. And then after that, people start to drop off. I'm curious so far to see like what is happening, and also like as people die, things are being revealed, like family secrets that's never been discussed are revealed, and it's just really fascinating. Like, I'm super curious to see who is going to be left at the end, who is behind all of it, and just learning more about the history of this very dysfunctional family, because by God, these people are just so, like, there's one sister who's just a veterinarian, which is great. Like, she loves animals, you know, kudos to her. I love animals too, but she's just so distant and like cold-hearted to people that it's just a weird dichotomy between how she treats humans versus humans, which, I mean, to be fair, I can totally see it, because honestly humans kind of suck and animals are just very innocent a lot of times, and they're very nurtured by human, like, their environments. But like, she's just so, I don't know about the sister. Then there's another sister who apparently has never worked a day in her entire life, and she's been living off of the crumbs from the grandmother, as well as just doing whatever. Like, she just doesn't want to work, and I'm just like, what the heck? But yeah, like, the family is just really dysfunctional. There's definitely some issues with the parents as well, and then there is this mysterious guy that they kind of grew up with, like a neighborhood son or something like that, and Daisy is apparently in love with this guy. So I'm kind of curious to see like what happened there, and there seems to be sort of like misunderstanding. I'm not sure, but point is though, like I'm curious to see what's happening. I'm enjoying the story so far. I think there's a lot of twists and turns and a lot of build up that I'm really excited to see like how the book will play through. So I'm excited for that book at least. And then yeah, that's my reading update for now. I hope to finish Daisy Darker soon and then be able to pick up another book before I finish this reading vlog. All right, just doing a quick update here while I am filming some other videos, but I did manage to finish reading Blackwater Sister earlier today, and I have to say I probably give it like 3.5 stars. I like the premise of the book. I like the cultural elements to it. I like the religious aspect to it, but because it took me such a long time to read through, it was honestly such a slog to get through that I felt like it just wasn't amazing of a read, which is why I only give it 3.5 stars. But if you love religious stuff, if you love cultural books, you know, this is definitely the book for you. But now that I'm done with that book and it's Thursday, which means I'm going to run this until like end of tomorrow. I think that's the plan. I'm going to pick up another book, and that is Wicked As You Wish by Rin Pico. I remember this being all the rave a couple years ago at like Book Expo or BookCon, and I still haven't read it yet. All I know is that this is the first book in a trilogy, and I believe the third book is coming out later this year. But I feel like after this book came out, no one talked about the series ever again, so I'm a little hesitant about getting into it. That being said though, this book has been drawing my attention. All I know is that this is about found family, modern day magic, and finding a place you belong. It also says something about like an evil snow queen, and I'm just like, what does that mean? And how they're somehow stuck in Arizona, like the crown prince and his protectors, and I'm just like, what is happening here? Like, I'm curious. So we'll see how this book goes, but I feel like because this is a YA book, it should be a much faster read compared to Blackwater Sister. At least that is the hope. But yeah, I'm excited to pick up this one soon. So I'm just here to do a quick update because I realized I haven't updated you guys since yesterday, but I have managed to read quite a bit actually. So I managed to finish listening to my audiobook, which is Daisy Darker. I really enjoyed it. It was super fascinating, definitely kept me on the edges of my seat. I did not see the ending at all. Like, it definitely shook me because I was like, what? Also like the character developments and just learning about the relationships and the family secrets, like unearthing all of that was just super interesting, and I was just super invested. So I really enjoyed that book. Probably like a 4-star read for sure. I don't know if I've read any of her other books in the past, but I feel like I might have read one and it was just okay, but I don't remember. But yeah, either way though, I really enjoyed this book. Highly recommend it if you're looking for a really good one. But since then I started another audiobook, and this is my smut. So I'm listening to Barbarian's Mate right now, and this is book 6 out of the Bryce Planet Barbarians. I mean, they're all trashy, guys. They're not really anything there for like depth or like insight or anything like that. You're literally just listening to it for pure entertainment, and that's kind of how it is right now. But yeah, I decided to pick up that one just because I felt like I wanted to break up the monotony of regular books versus like a smut entertainment book. So I'm listening to that right now, and I am on like 42% of the way, so I'm almost like halfway through. Like I said, it's just pure entertainment. It's fun, like it's super easy. That's what I'm gonna say for that one. In the meantime, I also picked up Wicked As You Wish. I'm on page 44, so I haven't made a ton of progress, but the issue right now with this book is that I don't know if I'm going to continue with it. It seems fun, but I feel like the writing style and the execution style is just not for me at all. So what's most unique about this book is that it literally covers like anything you can think of. It's in this book. It talks about George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. It also talks about Avalon. It talks about Cheshire, like, you know, Cheshire Cat. It has the Wonderland in there. There is also mentions about Rapunzel and Robin Hood. And so like any like fantasy character and real life person, like it's literally like a mashup. And like, while that's cool in concept and theory, I feel like the execution is just not done the greatest right now, because as a reader, I am so confused. Like, I don't know what is what. I don't know what is happening. Also, there's a bunch of introduction on the different types of magic, and they're trying to explain it as well, but I feel like the explanation is just not doing a really good job, because it seems like it's buried in between all the world building, and I don't know, it's just like so weird to me, because it's literally a weird mix of reality and fantasy, and I'm just not vibing with that at all. So I don't know, like I'm gonna continue reading it tomorrow morning and just see what happens there, but like as of right now, I'm like leaning towards a DNF because the writing is just a little choppy, the world building is not the best, and I'm just confused. Not to mention like the characters, I have zero interest in them right now, which is saying a lot, because usually I feel like, yeah, it takes some time for me to get into the characters and become invested in them, but like there's usually an interest in them to start off with, like a kernel of interest, like, oh, why are they interesting? Why should I continue reading about it? That is not the case with this book. I feel like everything has just been like very mediocre, and the characters are just there. Like they're not doing anything. So I don't know, like the concept sounded really fun. Let's talk about snow queens and like things like that, and there's also like a firebird, like a phoenix, so it definitely has a lot of like mashup of like fantasy elements to it, but it's just like the execution is just not the greatest, and I'm just not invested. So we'll see how that goes. It is now Sunday, and I'm finally getting around to doing my outro as well as doing my unboxing for the Unplugged book box for the month of April. And I'm super excited because I actually took out the items already because I was like, I need to see what's in there. So I'm going to show you guys what I got. So as always, there is their QR code back here, which kind of goes into detail about the books. Since they're all about being green these days, and this is part of their green initiative. But the first item that I see here is this box. So let's open it and see. I think I looked at it like a week ago when it came, and then I don't remember what's in here actually. But it looks like it is a candle. Oh, it's a Percy Jackson candle. It looks like this. Very stunning. Let's see how it smells. Oh, that smells really good. It smells kind of like oceany, if that makes any sense, like sea breeze. That's what it smells like, which makes sense considering it's a Percy Jackson candle. Then I see another box over here, which I'm actually really excited for, because if I remember correctly, this is like a tumbler or like some sort of water container. This is what it looks like. Oh, it's so stunning. Do you see this? Look how beautiful. It says, give me coffee or give me space. Impress me with your brew. And it's also made from glass too, which is amazing. Like I've wanted like these tumblers since I've seen them for a while. And there's also one over here, like a hole here in case you want to put a straw, I believe. This is mythology inspired, as you can clearly tell from some of the like the constellations here and things like that. But this is super stunning. Like I am super excited to use this ASAP. Then the next item I see on here is this. I'm not sure what this is actually. When it's dark, look for stars. So there's two of these. But what is it? It says on the spoiler card that it is a set of rainbow lights. Oh, so you guys just light it up. Okay, so there is like a wire here, like a cable here, and I guess they just stick it onto a bookshelf and use it. That's cool. Then this next item I see is a bar of soap. It says loofah soap, and it's supposed to be inspired by We Could Be Villains by Megan McCullough. I've never heard of that book before. It kind of smells like fruits, like raspberry or something. So, oh, it says floral explosion. So maybe some floral scents in here, but it smells like raspberries to me. Then the next item I see here is this pouch with a lip balm in it, and it looks like this. And it's supposed to be inspired by Strange the Dreamer, which, as you all know, is one of my favorite series. So I'm super excited about this one. The issue about lip balms with me is that I'm really sensitive to lip balms, and I've tried using like different types of like famous lip balms like EOS or whatever, EOS. It gave me like a pimple, and I've tried other ones too, and they all give me pimples if I use them after like a couple days. So now I can only use like Vaseline and Burt's Bees. Like anything else, I'm usually like super sensitive to. So I'm a little bit hesitant about using this because I know my track record. All right, and now in terms of the book of the month, it is this one. It's called Into the Churn by Haley Reese Chow. This edges look absolutely stunning, and it's on all sides too. And the inside looks like this. Oh god, it's like, oh, that looks so cool. Look at that. Wow. This is like super decked out, and it looks stunning. And it's also signed over here, if you can see that. But yeah, I have no idea what this book is about. It says Earth was tame, Belethea is not. And it follows a 17-year-old girl called Ezrin Hart, who interns in her mother's terraforming lab, studying Belethea's deadly storms with a dream of giving her backwater planet open teal skies. But when budget cuts threatens to shut her mother's lab down,
she enters Belethia's race royale, the system's deadliest and most lucrative race. With her planet's future and her family's on the line, she can't afford to lose. But first, she has to convince her handsome royale partner that this planet is worth saving. And it follows a guy, his name is Foster Sterling, who is a jaded ex-prodigy royaler, still reeling from his partner's death in a training accident. We'll see how this goes, guys. I've never heard of this book before, and I do like sci-fi, so I'm actually really intrigued. But my favorite item in this box, though, is definitely going to be this tumbler. Like, I am so excited to use this, like, ASAP. Like, you cannot believe how excited I am. Like, when I saw that they were going to do the tumbler in this, like, that looks like this, I was psyched for it. Then my second favorite item is obviously the candle, because I just love candles. But that is it in terms of my unboxing. Now I actually have to wrap up this vlog. So for this vlog, I basically managed to finish reading Blackwater Sister, which I gave 3.5 stars to. I also finished listening to Soulmates, which I gave 4 stars. It was really freaking cute. Then I also listened to Romantic Comedy, which I enjoyed. But like, it definitely took me some time to get into the rhythm of the story. I'll probably give that book 3.5 stars or so. Then I also finished listening to Daisy Darker, which I give 4 stars. I really enjoyed that book. Such a like thrilling book, and definitely caught me off guard. Then I DNF'd 2 books, Marvelous as well as Wicked as You Wish. Unfortunately, those 2 books just did not do it for me. And the last book that I managed to finish, I managed to finish this yesterday actually, when I was supposed to do this wrap up, but then I just got like super busy, was Barbarian's Mate. So I did finish that one. I gave the book 4 stars. It's like a fun smut book, guys. It's like, you know, but the way how the book ended though is definitely like a cliffhanger in a way to the next book. So I'm actually kind of curious now, because the plot is definitely building, and even though the plot is very much a back of the mind type of plot, it's still engaging enough because you're like, what is going to happen? Like, how are they going to get like more females, because there's still a lot of males who are not mated and things like that. So you're just like curious, and then there's like this discovery at the end of this book that I'm just like, what's going to happen next? So I'm excited to see where the book takes me. I did already request it on hold from the library, so it says it's going to be like 6 weeks, so we'll see how that goes. So basically, I managed to finish reading 5 books, and then I DNF'd 2. But honestly, that's not too bad considering the week I've had, the week and a half I had. And then in terms of my life updates, not much has happened. I was a little disappointed the last like 2 days, like Thursday and Friday, because I wasn't getting any like new interviews. I was just doing like, I was progressing through interviews, but like for the amount of like job applications I've been applying to, I expected like at least a couple more new interviews. So I'm really hoping that this following week will be a lot better. Like I can get some more new interviews and people will reach out and things like that, because I feel like the way how I see job hunting is a numbers game. So like the more you apply, the more chances you are to having interviews, and then each time you get an interview, that is a chance for you to get a job. But if you don't even get interviews, like you don't have any chance at all. So right now I do have a couple interviews that I am like progressing into the next stages, or I'm waiting to hear back so I can progress the next stages. But at the same time, I'm like, I need more like new interviews for me to have more chances, because I don't want to bank all of my like chances on these like couple, you know what I mean? So I'm a little disappointed on that end, but I don't know. It's also like my boyfriend was like, it was Friday, like you're not gonna hear from anything. And I'm like, yeah, but still, like that's just, I don't know. But things are also very different compared to last time I was laid off. Like the job market was just like literally like 180. Like last time I was literally getting interviews every single day. Like I had 2 or 3 per day, not to mention like new interviews that I was getting every like other day or something like that. So it was like I was constantly getting like new opportunities and new chances for me to get a job, and this time it just does not feel like that at all. But at the same time, like I'm not super surprised considering the job market is absolute shit right now, which is why I'm also a little like stress and like mental breakdown, because I'm just like, oh, I need to find something. And it's just not great when you're competing with like thousands and thousands of other people who are just as qualified and probably even more qualified, because everyone got laid off. Like it's just not a great like situation out there right now. But anyways, that is it in terms of this vlog. Let me know down below if you have read any of these books before, and you know, if you have been laid off too, like what has been your like coping methods, and what are your suggestions and advice for finding your next opportunity? Or if you guys know any opportunities, like let me know as well. I'm in marketing, by the way, digital marketing specifically, so that's kind of like what I do for my career. But anyways, that's it for this video. As always, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up, probably just have on my channel. And if you'd like to see more content of me, please don't hesitate to subscribe down below, as well as notification bell. And as always, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.